Hi everyone, I'm Virginia Killmore and welcome to my studio. Today I thought I would change it from Template Thursday to Fun Fold Thursday. I thought it would be a little change and I can't wait to show you how cute this card is when you open it up. So let's get started. So this is our card today. I'm going to zoom out so that you can see the fun opening of the card. I love how this pops out. Isn't that cute? It's just a little fun fold that we will do today that will make that happen. And I really struggled of how to show you this, so bear with me as we work through it. The first thing we need to do is actually build that fold. So I am going to take a regular piece of cardstock that's been folded, my cutter, and I have measured over, I think it's, yes, 2.5 and then up 2 1/4. I got to see my little tick marks. There they are. And I'm going to line them up, and I'm going to do all of it at once. I don't know if that's going to work. We'll find out, but I thought that made some sense. And I'm going to use my bone folder instead. Now, if you're hearing lots of noise, my hubby is busy right now building me a new bathroom in the back. And so I'm so super happy. Oh, that worked perfect. So now all I have to do is fold that backwards. And now I've got my fun fold. We'll see how good that worked. Hopefully I cut the other piece correctly. So what I'm going to do now is fold that and fold this in. So that's the hard part, is getting that fold to happen. So again, I'm going to measure over 2.5 and 2 1/4, and I'm going to check to be sure that I'm telling you the right measurement. Yep, 2.5. Ooh, and this is a little bit longer. No, it's 2 1/4. 2 1/4. And then when I open this up, I can put my little sentiment on the inside. Now, I took a piece of cardstock and already trimmed it. I'll tell you how I did it. I'm not one to be super accurate. So what I did was I started with a piece that was 4 by 5 1/4. I lined it up with this and I trimmed it off. And then I took it back into my cutter and took another 1/4 inch off because I knew it had to be a 1/4 inch all the way around. So that's my technique. It's not a great one. I still think I could use a little bit off the top, so I'm going to take a tiny bit off the top. The hardest part is keeping that straight. And hopefully I won't be upset that I took too much. But that fits nicely in there. So now I have to stamp this, my sentiment, and we're going to be using a blending tip that I showed everybody on Tuesday. So let's get started with that because there's a lot of stamping to be done. First, we're going to stamp the background. And when we stamp a background like that, I like to do an all-over kind of stamping. So I'm going to take Crumb Cake. I'm using Crumb Cake and Blushing Bride, which are very strange with all these weedy kind of things, but I thought they worked really nicely. And I'm going to stamp, then pick this up and turn it so that my stamp looks like it's in a different direction each time. That's when you do an all-over pattern. You want to keep turning your paper and your stamp. I think I have room for one more little guy here. And then because I wanted to sort of fill in between, I have these little seed pods that I'm going to stamp. My Crumb Cake is a little light, and I kind of like it like that. I don't like it too dark. Sort of just filling in spots where I think I need a little bit more information. Okay, that's it. And that can already get glued on here. So I'm going to go ahead and glue that on, and then we'll work on the sentiment. Oh, look at that. Collage gone wrong. I do that a lot. I'll stamp on something, don't like it, put it back in my pile of paper, and then discover while I'm stamping that I have the other side. So I'm going to leave that to dry over here. And now we're going to work on our sentiment and our inside. The first piece I need to do is this piece right here, and I'm going to go ahead and stamp that. And then I'm going to use a blender brush to just blend some of these colors in here. I'm also going to blend right in there to sort of darken. I showed this on Tuesday in my quick tips, and I thought that worked out really good. Now I'm going to have to fussy cut that, so that's going to take a little time. And then I'm going to also stamp this object. I don't know what these pods are. Somebody looked that all up, but I have no idea. And I'm going to stamp it. And again, right away I want to color it in, because this is when the blender pen can pick up ink and really work at it. Now, if I want it darker, I can actually pick up ink from different spots or from my pad. I don't want this super dark. If you've ever used a blender pen and over colored in something, you will start to rip paper, so you want to be careful of that. I noticed that at one little spot I was having a little bit of paper removal. So you want to be careful of not overdoing that. I still need to color in my pink leaves, but I am going to cut out my pod while we're talking. I'm not going to worry too much about the stem because that's really not an important part. But I am going to go ahead and cut this out. We don't have cutters for this, so we have to fussy cut. We are rounding the corner almost to the end of the month, well actually the middle of the month, and I just want to remind you that celebration this year does not go into March. So for those of you that were hoping to wait and order something next month, make sure you get what you want, because those celebration sets will go. Same with the paper. Okay. So I'm not even going to get into cutting that little stem out because I don't need it. But I do need to take a strip and stamp my sentiment. And this is a tough one because it's a long, straight stamp. So I might have to use the other side, or I call it my emergency side of my stamp, if things don't stamp right. Oh, I was lucky the first time. Usually I'll take it to the cutter, but because this is such a small section, I'm not going to worry about that. Okay, so I've got this and this for here. I still need to color in the pink, but I want to do the inside first and then come back and do the pink with my blender pen. So I am going to stamp this one more time. I'm really concentrating on the pod that I like, which has the little leaves, the little seeds in it. And then our sentiment, which I think is really pretty. Friendship is found in simple things. I have quite a few friends that are like that, just really wonderful people, and so blessed to have them in my life. So I like to send these kind of cards out to them. Now I am also coloring in between all of these. Now I'm going to show you how to do the little pod on the inside. I am actually going to squeeze my pad a little bit and then open it up. There's not a lot of ink. First I want to make sure there's no crumb cake on there, and I'm just going to very quickly color it in the pink, the Blushing Bride. I am not going to rub it too much because, again, remember how I picked up color earlier? You don't want to do that because you'll get a brown gray mess. So I just pick up fresh color each time I paint a seed pod and then quickly fill it in without going back and forth too many times. And that's it. I'm done. Now I can put my card together. So let's put it all together. I thought this was going to be much harder than it actually was, but I'm very pleased that I didn't struggle too much. Now I'm going to glue this down. Whoops. I have too many dimensionals sticking out. And I'm going to glue this down. I just think that's so pretty. Let that set for a second. Let's get the front of our card set up, and then we'll put the message on the inside. So there's the front of the card. I want this sort of centered on here and hanging over. So I'm going to go ahead and put glue. Actually, I think I used dimensionals, so let's do that. I just don't want to put too many dimensionals on the wrong side, so I always like to check. We don't want to get too many, but we need enough to pop it up. Okay. Now, think about how fun this would be for a little baby, kid's birthday card. This is such a great little technique. Saw it out there on the internet and just fell in love with that. So I'm going to put this about here because I'm going to be covering over it anyways. So I just want to make sure I have it where I want it. And this is also going to get a dimensional. And I'm going to use half a dimensional because I don't need a lot. Pull those right off. Where's my pokey tool when I need it? I'm going to tilt it a little bit because I can sort of put it off like that, and then I can sort of fit this in where I want it in between. And again, I'm going to use some dimensionals on this so that it goes across. We don't want that not to have the lift that the other thing does, the other pod. The main thing is just trying to line everything up. I actually lined that up there. And now all that's left to do is to glue this in place. And I'm going to glue it like this. But before I do that, I'm checking to make sure it's not going to hang out. So I want to glue it somewhere in here. So I'm going to put the glue right on here. I don't want a ton. But I am going to just put it above the fold and let that sit for a second. And then we'll pop it open to see if it works. Let's see. It's what I love about our glue, how quickly that dries. So that was a fun card today, and it went much faster than I expected. So thank you for watching. Tomorrow's Fun Friday. If you get a chance, check out my Tuesday tips on Instagram, and I'll see you tomorrow.